I think that the corporate sector has been pretty silent in terms of the number and the quality of volunteers in country, as well as those that are traveling internationally. So I think the first thing for Impact 2030, when you're engaging these corporations, you're engaging the full force of social media and the full force of the communication teams at these companies, along with Impact 2030 collectively telling that story of all of these corporations. And it's very important because the companies don't want to engage if they're not having an impact.
Right.
And so one is telling the story, but then on that second piece that I mentioned earlier, in terms of being able to measure it in ways that really relate to moving the needle on the social issues, that work has begun. So the companies are assessing and mapping which goals. So let's just take goal 4, education, and the companies that are doing mentoring programs. How are we really going to determine 14 years from now whether the needle moved on that issue?
But the question of effectiveness is really important, right? If we're not effective, if you can't measure the work with some targeted outcomes, then the companies are less likely to make those investments as you go forward.
That's correct, and that's why Impact 2030 is so important, because one area is activation, but then very importantly, and I think it was the selling point for IBM coming in as a founding partner, was let's not just track our hours and our numbers of employees. So we're very much embarking upon a mission together where the companies that are aligning and the stakeholder not-for-profits that are coming together in Impact 2030, we are going to try to measure truly what the corporate sector impact is. And it's not written yet, it's not defined. So we know hours, we know numbers, and just gathering that up is an impressive collection of impact. But what we really want to do, and as I referred to, IBM's contributing 3 full-time research scientists to this, to really look at how do you use cognitive technology, how do you use big data to really create the mathematical algorithms so that the modern technologies can arrive at how do we really determine our impact. Technologies like Watson, which many of you may or may not have heard of, is IBM's cognitive computing technology. It's
Has anybody beat Watson yet in chess?
Watson beat the players, the human beings on Jeopardy. That's where Watson got introduced.
He's moved on to Jeopardy.
He's moved on to Jeopardy.
Family Feud is in his future as well?
It's too easy for him. Watson has the ability to ingest billions of bytes of data. And so we want to deploy, right now Watson was introduced on Jeopardy and is now being trained at the Mayo Clinic and at Sloan Kettering to be an oncology assistant. So this technology that's coming into play right now to solve really important problems in the world, we're going to deploy that same technology to say, look, corporations are engaging, millions and millions of employees around the world on service. Watson, what do you say? How do we determine how to measure that and align it to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals? So it's work that's really exciting. It's work that's got all of the companies that are part of Impact 2030 excited about it, and people like Kathy and Ayabe and our other partners saying, okay, yes, let's do it together. It's magnificent to see the collaboration that's happening, not just with the companies, but with the NGO partners who are all in their different focuses of their international volunteerism programs, but they're all coming together to share their data so we can really look at this and we really can tell that story both, as Kathy said, at the global level, but it's so important for all of the companies. How do you tell that story at the local level, on the ground? That's where it's happening, that's where it matters to our employees and how they see it playing out in the local geography.
Yeah, great.